So here's a funny story about me playing Star Sector. So a while back, I was trying to find my home planet. I wanted it to be the perfect home planet. So I had a fleet, and I had the right amount of crew for manning the entire fleet and for starting up my home planet. I also had enough supplies to do it. But there was one problem. When I found the perfect home planet, it was protected by a bunch of AI guardians. And there was also a defense station there too. So it was a very hard battle. And I finally won the battle by the skin of my teeth. And, anyways, I colonized that planet. And in the process of doing so, unfortunately, I had major problems. So, I had a lot of crew and a lot of supplies, right? However, after that battle, I had lost so much crew from battle damage. So I was trying to repair my fleet with my supplies. However, I wanted that planet so badly that I went ahead and colonized it. So after I colonized it, I was short on supplies, and then I was also short on crew because I lost some of them from the battle. Anyways, I was going to fly back to friendly space so that I could, of course, get more supplies and more crews to have a completely fully crewed fleet. Anyways, I started pulling away from my newly colonized home planet. However, there was a problem that I noticed once I started doing that. I was very low on fuel and very extremely low on supplies. I didn't think I was going to make it back to friendly space. And on top of that, I was checking up on my home planet, and my home planet, it was on the verge of being decivilized because the stability had dropped so low. It was on the verge of being decivilized. So I ran back to my home planet and I dropped off everything. I dropped off my supplies and food and all this stuff on the home planet so that it would be able to hopefully survive until I could return, whenever that may be. Anyways, after I did that, I started flying towards friendly space. However, because I didn't have any supplies to keep the fleet in good shape, I was flying through deep space, and the combat readiness, it was dropping. I also flew through some storms. Anyways, I lost a couple ships on the way. I also lost some crew on the way. So I finally got into friendly space, and I had lost almost my whole fleet. And I got some supplies. I repaired my ships. I got a full crew. However, I couldn't get any ships to my original fleet size because I was broke. And anyways, I was trying to hurry all the way back to my home planet before it was decivilized. Anyways, I flew all the way back. I got there in time. I dropped off the supplies and I watched over it for a little bit. I made sure that the stability went up, and I just took a deep breath. I was just very lucky because I literally was on the edge of losing my home planet and my entire fleet. And it was a very risky situation. It was a very bad situation. So after I stabilized everything and got my fleet back to strength, I pretty much let out a victory yell. And it's funny because my friend, they was walking through, and they heard me. They gave me a strange look, and normally they would go about their business, you know. However, I just looked at them, and I had the impression that they were curious about what the commotion was. So I went on to telling them about what happened. So it's funny because as I'm telling this story, my friend is analyzing the events very critically. And they didn't know what the game was. They didn't really understand how the game played. So I was trying to make it as simple as possible for them to understand it. So when it come to the crew, I had a fully staffed fleet. I didn't really need any extra crew. However, I stepped into a bar somewhere, and there were some people who wanted to join my fleet. So I took them in. However, my friend didn't really understand how those game events worked. And they didn't think that I was compensating them in any way. So it was funny because in their head, they imagined that I kidnapped these people. So they told me, "Oh my gosh, you kidnapped these people and you held them hostage on your ship? How could you?" And I was like, no. I didn't kidnap them. They weren't hostages. They volunteered to join me so that they could have a better life. And then my friend, they was like, they were trapped on your ship. They couldn't escape from your ship. They were stuck on it. They were hostages. And anyways, and I went on to be like, but I gave them food and water. I treated them pretty good. And they did volunteer. I mean, what else am I supposed to do here? So, anyways, that was a funny part about the crew. So, anyways, going on to the battle, I was talking to them about the battle, and I summarized it for them, and I explained how it resulted in losing almost everything. And at the same time, I colonized that planet because I wanted it so badly. And told them about how the planet, it was headed down south very fast. Stability was down the drain. The entire fleet was falling apart. I didn't have full crew. I didn't even have half the amount of crew necessary for the entire fleet. I was scraping by. And then I went on to tell them about how I was trying to fly to friendly space so that I could get more crew members and get more supplies and to fly back to my home planet to stabilize it. So it was funny when I was trying to explain to them my thought process and what I was doing. They just looked at me. They narrowed their eyes. And they said, "Oh my gosh, you abandoned them. You left them to save yourself. So first, you kidnap these people, and then you hold them hostage on your ship, and then you dump them on a planet, and then you abandon them. That's so cruel. You're a monster. No, you're a tyrant. You are a tyrant. How could you? How could you do this?" And I was like, No, that's not what that was. That's not what this looks like. I wasn't being a tyrant. I was trying to find a home planet so that these people would have a place to call home, so that they would have a place to live, not on a ship. You just can't live on a ship forever, but I was trying to give them a home, a planet, to where they could have a proper life. Anyways, it was funny because they wasn't having it. But, it was like a little a friendly spout between the two of us. No hard feelings, but it was funny because they didn't really understand the game, so I couldn't be too hard on them anyways. I was having a good time. Anyways, I asked them if they ate anything yet. They'd only just woke up a little while ago. It was late afternoon and they had slept in late. So they told me they hadn't ate yet. So I had some extra food. It was steak and gravy, mashed potatoes, and casserole. So I offered them the food, and they they said, "Yeah, sure, they'll take it." So they took the food and they started eating it. And this is where it got really good for me. So I started smiling real big. And then they just had this look of fear and terror and curiosity at the same time. It was funny. And then they asked me, why are you smiling at me like that? So then I told them, well, you can't call me a tyrant now, can you? I just gave you some food, right? Oh my goodness. If only you'd seen the look on their face. Oh, it was priceless. It was amazing. It was such a good feeling. There was nothing they could really say in response. All they could do was just keep eating. Very silently. And it was just a very pleasing feeling. Of course, they thanked me for the food, but it was really funny because they still had that look in their eyes. It was the type of look where it was like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe I allowed myself to be tricked. It was funny. It was funny for me, though. I mean, I had no intentions of tricking this person. I was just explaining the situation. However, it all turned out pretty good in the end. So that was my Star Sector story that somehow breached into the real life. Hopefully you enjoyed it.